Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivas Gaur Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Jai Shri Prabhupada. This is reading from Chaitanya Bhagavata. This is the Adi-Khanda, chapter 15. And it is description of the marriage to Sri Vishnu Priya. Glory, glory to Lord Chaitanya. Glory to Lord Nityananda. O my lords, please place your feet in my heart. Glory, glory to Lord Chaitanya and his associates. One who hears these narrations of Lord Chaitanya will attain true devotional service. In this way, the Lord passionately enjoyed pastimes of learning. He kept his true identity a secret. He did not reveal it. At sunrise, the Lord would chant the Gayatri mantra, perform other duties, offer obeisances to his mother, and then go to teach. Mukunda Sanjaya had been the Lord's servant for many births. Purushottama Das was his son. To teach his students every day, Lord Chaitanya would gloriously walk to the home of this fortunate person. First the Lord would sit in the Chandi Mandapa, then his students would enter. Sometimes a student would forget to put tilak on his forehead. The Lord always establishes all the principles of religion, never deviating from the principles of religion. The Lord protects the world. The Lord would make him so embarrassed that the student would never again fail to wear tilak. The Lord would say, "Oh, my brother, I do not see tilak on your forehead. What's the reason for that?" If a Brahmin does not wear tilak on his forehead, then that forehead becomes like a creation ground. The Vedas say that. This I know, today you have not chanted Gayatri mantra. Oh, my brother, today your chanting of Gayatri is in vain. Go home and chant Gayatri again. When you have chanted Gayatri again, you may return and study. That is how the Lord was with his students. Every one of them was very attentive to his religious duties. The Lord was playful and arrogant. No one was like him. He was active in many different ways. Still, he would never joke with others' wives. Seeing a woman from far away, he would move to one side. Seeing a person from Srihat, the Lord would make fun of his dialect. Then the person from Srihat would angrily say, "Ay, what country are you from, that you may talk so confidently? Say from where your father, mother, and other kinsmen came. I can see. Were they not born in Srihat? You are a son of Srihat. Why do you make such an uproar?" No matter what they said, the Lord would not accept it. In different ways he would continue to mock the dialect. When great anger was not the response, the Lord would still mock the Srihat dialect. Sometimes they would very angrily chase the Lord. Unable to catch him, they could only shout and threaten. Sometimes one of them would catch the Lord, grab his dhoti at the waist, and angrily drag him to the Muslim governor. At the end, the Lord's friends would come, and somehow everything would be made right. Some days the Lord would enter a storeroom belonging to a person from East Bengal, break everything, and flee. In this way the Lord was mischievous to everyone. Still, he never cast a sidelong glance to any woman. In this incarnation, the Lord would not even hear the word woman. For that he was famous in the world. Therefore the wise devotees never glorify Lord Chaitanya as Gauranga Nagara. Although it's possible to glorify the Lord in every way, the wise devotees glorify the Lord in a way proper for the nature he displays at the moment. In this way, the king of Vaikuntha enjoyed pastimes of tasting the nectar of learning at Mukunda Sanjaya's house. The circle of his students, splendid in the four directions, the happy Lord lectured in their midst. Sometimes the Lord would stop, have a servant anoint his head with Vishnu oil, and happily proceed with his lecture. Beginning at sunrise, the Lord, who is a treasure house of virtues, would teach for 6 hours. Then he would go bathe in the Ganga. Every evening he would again lecture for half the night. After only 1 year of study, his students would become pandits, learned in all truths. In this way the Lord tasted the nectar of learning. Meanwhile, Sachi was always thinking of his remarriage. In all of Navadvip, Sachi was always looking for a suitable bride for her son. In Navadvip lived a very fortunate and generous person named Sri Sanatana. He was honest, generous, very devoted to Lord Vishnu, hospitable to guests, always eager to help others, truthful, in control of his senses, born in an illustrious family, and famous everywhere as a Raj Pandit, regal scholar. He was also very wealthy. He easily maintained many persons. His daughter was very beautiful and well-behaved. She was like Goddess Lakshmi, the mother of the worlds personified. The moment she saw her, Sachi Devi thought in her heart, "This is the right girl for my son." From childhood she bathed 2 or 3 times daily in the Ganga, and she did not know anything but devotion to Lord Vishnu and to her father and mother. Day after day, whenever she saw her at the bathing ghat, she would humbly bow down to Mother Sachi's feet. Very pleased with her, Mother Sachi blessed her, saying, "May Lord Krishna bless you with a suitable husband." As she bathed in the Ganga, Mother Sachi thought in her heart, "This girl should be given to my son." In their hearts, the Raj Pandit and his kinsmen also desired to give the girl to the Lord. By divine arrangement, Sachi met Kashinath Pandit and said to him, "My boy, please hear my words. Please tell the Raj Pandit that, if he wishes, he may give his daughter to my son." Chanting the names Durga and Krishna, Kasinath Pandit at once went to the Raj Pandit's home. Seeing Kasinath, the Raj Pandit respectfully offered him a place to sit. Offered him proper respect, the Pandit asked, "Why have you come, O my brother?" And Kasinath replied, "I've come to tell you, if your heart is so inclined, you may act upon it. You should give your daughter to Vishwambar Pandit. In every way they are a good match. He'll be a glorious husband suitable for your daughter, and your very chaste daughter will also be suitable for him. As Lord Krishna and Rukmini are right for each other, so your Vishnu Priya and Nimai Pandit are also right for each other." Hearing these words, the Pandit met with his wife and kinsmen to consider what to do. He said, "Let us look at what he has said." They all replied, "What do we have to think about? You should agree, make all the arrangements at once." Happy, the Raj Pandit then said to Kasinath Pandit, "I will give my daughter to Vishwambar Pandit. I will arrange everything. There is not another Brahmin like Vishwambar. If my entire dynasty is fortunate, then the Lord will accept this union with my daughter. Go and tell them everything. I'm firmly in favor of this marriage, and I will make all the arrangements." Hearing this, Kasinath Mishra went to Sachi and happily told her everything. Hearing that all was arranged, Mother Sachi became happy. She began to make all the arrangements. Hearing of the Lord's marriage, all his students became very happy at heart. From the beginning, a great soul named Buddhimanta insisted, "I will pay for this marriage." Then Mukunda Jaya said, "O my friend, O brother, please listen. You will pay for everything, and I will not pay for even a little?" Then Buddhimanta Khan said, "O my friend, my brother, this will not be anything like the marriage of a poor Brahmin. When the people see this Pandit's marriage, they will think a prince is getting married." Then, on an auspicious day and at an auspicious time, with a happy heart, everyone met and performed the Adivas ceremony. A great canopy was arranged, and many banana trees were brought. There were full water pots, lamps, grain, yogurt, and mangoes. There were many auspicious things. Everything was brought. The floor was decorated with colorful designs. To all the Vaishnavas, Brahmin, and respectable persons in Navadvip, the following invitation was sent. In the afternoon, please come to the Adivas, and you will enjoy a wonderful feast. As the afternoon began, the musicians began to play their instruments. Then there arose a great sound of mridangas, shanais, jayatakas, kartals, and many other instruments. The poets recited prayers, and chaste ladies devoted to their husbands made auspicious sounds, and the Brahmins recited the Vedas. In the midst of all of that sat he who is the jewel of the regal Brahmins. In the four directions sat the circle of Brahmins. Everyone was very happy at heart. Then someone brought fragrances, sandalwood paste, betel nuts, splendid garlands to give to the Brahmins. Someone placed the garlands around their heads, anointed their limbs with sandal paste, and gave them each a cup of betel nuts. Nadia was a community of Brahmins. There was no end to the Brahmins. Many Brahmins came. Then more Brahmins came. There was no end. Among the guests were many greedy persons. After arriving once, they would dress like actors in a play and arrive again. Come again. They would come again, accept the garlands, sandal paste, and betel nuts. Everyone was intoxicated with bliss. Who can understand it? Smiling, the Lord gave this order. 3 times give the garland, sandal paste, and betel nuts to everyone. Don't worry. Give as many times as the people wish. In this way, the Lord solved the problem of some guests accepting the gifts many times. The Lord, who deeply loves Brahmins, thought in his heart, it's not good that some foolish Brahmins accept the gifts many times. It's cheating and it's an offense. That is why the Lord ordered, give everything 3 times. Then everyone will be completely satisfied. Accepting the gifts 3 times, everyone became happy at heart, and no one cheated. The garlands, sandal paste, and betel nuts were all manifested from Lord Anantasesh. And this secret no one knew. When these gifts were given to the guests, some remnants of them fell to the ground. Those remnants would be enough to supply 5 ordinary weddings. Everyone was joyful at heart. Everyone said, this is a glorious, glorious, glorious Adivas. Even Navadvip's wealthy elite, who were the masters of hundreds and thousands of coins, did not celebrate for their sons an Adivas like this. No one had ever given such lavish gifts of garlands, sandal paste, and betel nuts before in Navadvip. The Raj Pandit was very joyful at heart. It was he who had brought the ingredients for the Adivas. When the relatives and Brahmins arrived, there was a great festival of singing, dancing, and instrumental music. At an auspicious moment, with a very happy heart, and following the rules of the Vedas, the Raj Pandit decorated the Lord with fragrant tilak. At that moment, everyone recited prayers and called out, Jai, Jai, Hari. The wives devoted to their husbands made glorious sounds. The singing and instrumental music brought great bliss. In this way, the auspicious Adivas ceremony was celebrated. At the end, the regal Brahmin Sanatan returned to his home. At an auspicious moment, the Lord's relatives also celebrated a similar Adivas ceremony for Vishnupriya. Whatever wedding rituals were customary, the divine couple celebrated with great happiness. On the day of the wedding, Lord Chaitanya bathed at sunrise and then worshipped Lord Vishnu. Then, accompanied by his kinsmen, the Lord sat down to perform the Nandi Mukha ceremony. There was a great tumult of singing, dancing, and instrumental music. Auspicious sounds of Jai Jai rose in the 4 directions. Shoreless oceans of full water pots, rice, yogurt, lamps, and mangoes were placed at the door, in the house, and in the courtyard. In the 4 directions were fluttering flags of many colors, banana trees, and mango branches. Then, accompanied by the wives devoted to their husbands, Mother Sachi very happily performed the customary rituals. First, with a very happy heart, she bathed in the Ganga. Then, accompanied by instrumental music, she went to the temple of goddess Shashti. After worshipping goddess Shashti, Sachi visited the homes of her relatives, and thus performing the customary rituals, she returned to her own home. Again, giving them gifts of puffed rice, bananas, oil, betel nuts, red cinder, she completely satisfied all the ladies. By the Lord's power, these things all became limitless in quantity. Sachi gave these gifts 5 or 7 times to each woman. Then all the ladies bathed with oil. There was not one of them that was not perfectly happy at heart. There was a great bliss at Goddess Lakshmi's home. Lakshmi's mother was very joyful at heart. The Raj Pandit was also very joyful at heart. By giving away his great treasure, he was floating in bliss. After performing all these rituals, Lord Chaitanya sat down for a moment's rest. Then the Lord pleased the Brahmin by giving them food and garments. He humbly bowed before them. He gave appropriate gifts to each person. In this way he honored everyone. Very pleased, all the Brahmins offered their blessings. Then everyone went home for lunch. In the afternoon, everyone came to dress and decorate the Lord. Everyone placed sandal paste on the Lord's graceful limbs. Everywhere they anointed him with fragrances. They made a half moon of sandal paste on his forehead. In the middle of that half moon they placed splendid and fragrant tilak. A wonderful crown glistened on the Lord's graceful head. A fragrant garland covered his entire body. He was dressed in splendid, fine, yellow dhoti that was folded 3 times. Black kajal was placed around his eyes. He held rice and durva grass. A string was tied about his waist. He was given a mirror and a banana shoot to hold. Golden earrings swung from the root of his ears. A necklace of many different jewels hung from his shoulders. In this way, everyone happily decorated the Lord's limbs. Gazing at the Lord's form, the men and women became enchanted. They forgot who they were. 3 hours passed in this way. Everyone said, "Now should begin the auspicious and glorious procession." For 3 hours the procession will walk through all of Navadvip. At sunset, everyone will go to the bride's home. Then Buddhimata Khan happily brought a splendid palanquin. Then a tumult of singing and instrumental music rose. The Brahmins chanted the very auspicious sounds of the Vedas. Poets recited many prayers, and bliss descended on the 4 directions. Then the Lord circumambulated his mother and respectfully bowed down before the Brahmins. When the Lord sat on the palanquin, auspicious sounds of Jai Jai arose in the 4 directions. Then the ladies made auspicious sounds. There was no other sound in any direction. The procession first went to the Ganga's bank. Everyone gazed at the half moon above their heads. Thousands and thousands of lamps shone. The bearers played with the lamps in different ways. In front of the palanquin, Buddhimanta Khan's employees walked in 2 lines. Behind them were men carrying flags of different colors. Behind them were jesters dressed in colorful clothing. I do not know how many dancers were happily dancing. The musicians played on jayatakas, viratakas, mridangas, kahalas, patahas, dagadas, conch shells, flutes, kartals, varangas, singas, and others of the 5 kinds of instruments. I cannot write of all the instruments they played. Hundreds of thousands of children happily danced as the musicians played. Seeing this, the Lord smiled. Seeing the happy play of the children, all the wise elders abandoned their natural reserve and also danced. They first went to the Ganga's bank, where, For some moments they sang, danced, and happily played musical instruments. Then, after showering flowers and bowing down before the Ganga, they happily paraded in the town of Navadvip. Seeing these wedding festivities, which were far beyond what a mere human being could manifest, everyone found their hearts filled with wonder. "This is a great, great wedding," the people said. "I've never seen such a wedding." The men and women all gazed at the Lord. Gazing at him, all the pious people of Nadia floated in bliss. All the Brahmins with beautiful daughters at home thought, "I did not have the power to give my daughter to a bridegroom like him. I'm not fortunate. What can I do?" I offer my respectful obeisances to the feet of the residents of Navadvip, who are able to see all these blissful pastimes. In this way the Lord happily paraded through neighborhood after neighborhood in the town of Navadvip. When sunset came, the Lord went to the palace of the Raj Pandit. There was a tumult of glorious sounds. The musicians played their instruments. Very respectfully, the Raj Pandit helped the Lord down from the palanquin, embraced him, and gave him a place to sit. He happily showered flowers on the Lord. Gazing at his son-in-law, he became so happy he no longer was aware of his own body. Bringing many gifts of cloth, the Brahmin welcomed his son-in-law and gave him a place to sit. Giving him padya, arghya, achmaniya, garments and ornaments, he properly welcomed the Lord. Then, accompanied by many other ladies, his wife performed auspicious rituals. She placed rice and durva grass on the Lord's head. Then she offered arti with 7 ghee lamps. Showering him with coins and puffed rice, she uttered sounds of victory. In this way she observed the customary rituals. Then, after decorating her with ornaments, she brought out Goddess Lakshmi and gave her a seat. Then the Lord's kinsman happily picked up the Lord and placed him in his seat. Then, following custom, she held a curtain around the Lord and had Goddess Lakshmi circumambulate him 7 times. When she had completed the 7th circumambulation, Goddess Lakshmi stood before the Lord and bowed down before him. There was a great shower of flowers, and the 2 groups of musicians played their instruments. From the 4 directions, the men and women made sounds of victory. Bliss descended on everyone. Goddess Lakshmi, the mother of the worlds, placed a garland at the Lord's feet and then offered herself to him. Gently smiling, Lord Chaitanya picked up the garland and placed it around Goddess Lakshmi's neck. Then a blissful shower of flowers fell on Sri Sri Lakshmi Narayan. Appearing in disguise, Brahma and the demigods came there and happily showered flowers. Goddess Lakshmi's kinsman and Lord Chaitanya's kinsman engaged in a loud contest of making blissful sounds. Their hearts joyful, they picked up the bride and groom. One moment the Lord's kinsman won the contest. The next moment Lakshmi's kinsman won. Laughing and laughing, the Lord encouraged them to shout louder and louder, and the Lord gently smiled. Gazing at his handsome face, everyone floated in transcendental bliss. Thousands and thousands of brilliant lamps shone. No ear could hear anything but a tumult of music. As Lord Chaitanya and Goddess Lakshmi gazed into each other's moonlight face, there was a tumult of instrumental music and many glorious sounds. Those tumultuous sounds filled all the universes. I hear it was like that. In this way the Lord and the Goddess happily gazed at each other's moonlight face. The Lord Chaitanya and Goddess Lakshmi sat down together. Then with a happy heart, the Raj Pandit sat down to offer his daughter to the Lord. After properly offering Padya, Arghya, and Achmaniya, he formally declared his intention. Wishing to please Lord Vishnu, Goddess Lakshmi's father placed his daughter in the hand of the Supreme Lord. Then he happily gave a dowry of many splendid cows, land, beds, servant, maidservants. Goddess Lakshmi sat at the Lord's left, Then a yajna was performed. When all the Vedic and traditional rituals were complete, the bride and groom again entered the house. The Raj Pandit's home was actually the world of Vaikuntha. Then everyone sat down to a feast. When the feasting was complete, Goddess Lakshmi and Lord Krishna happily spent that auspicious night together. Who has the power to describe the happiness felt by Sanatan Pandit and his kinsmen? He was fortunate in the same way Nagnajit, Janaka, Bhishmaka, and Jambavan had been in ancient times. Sanatan Pandit and his kinsmen were fortunate in this way because, in the previous births, they had greatly served Lord Vishnu. That night and the following morning, the Lord and the Goddess, who are the most exalted persons in all the worlds, observed all the traditional rituals. Then, on the afternoon of the next day, they went, accompanied by singing, dancing, instrumental music, to the Lord's home. Auspicious sounds filled the four directions, and the ladies made many glorious sounds. The Brahmins came to offer blessings and recite verses proper for the occasion. Playing on dakas, patahas, shanais, vidangas, and kartals, the musicians made a great sound. Then, after offering respectful obeisances to all the honored elders, the Lord, accompanied by Goddess Lakshmi, ascended the palanquin. Calling out, "Hari, Hari," everyone made a tumult of glorious sounds. Then he who is the jewel of the Brahmins began his journey. Everyone who saw the Lord traveling on the streets would respectfully call out, "Glorious, glorious." When they saw him, the ladies said, "In how many past births did that girl serve Lakshmi and Parvati that now she has become so fortunate?" Someone said, "I think they are Shiva and Gauri." Someone else said, "I think they're Goddess Lakshmi and Lord Hari." Someone else said, "They're Kamadev and Rati." And someone else, "To my mind, they're like Indra and Sachi." Someone else said, "I think they are like Ramachandra and Sita." In this way, the pious ladies spoke. The men and women of Nadia were very fortunate, for they could see all these glorious pastimes. Sri Sri Lakshmi Narayan's auspicious glances delighted everyone in Nadia. In whatever pathway the divine couple joyfully traveled, there were singing, dancing, and instrumental music, and showers of flowers. Then, at an auspicious moment, Goddess Lakshmi and Lord Krishna happily arrived at the Lord's house. Accompanied by many chaste ladies devoted to their husbands, Mother Sachi happily took her son and daughter-in-law into the house. Entering the house, Sri Sri Lakshmi Narayan sat down. The entire house was filled with auspicious sounds. The bliss of those pastimes cannot be described. Who will describe the glory of those pastimes? Every person who with his or her own eyes saw the handsomeness of the Lord's transcendental form became free of all sin and went to the world of Vaikuntha. Everyone directly saw the Lord's wedding. That is why the Lord is called Dayamaya, merciful, and Dinanatha, the Lord of the fallen. With gifts of garments and money and sweet words, the Lord satisfied the dancers, poets, and beggars. To each of his kinsmen and to each of the Brahmins, the Lord happily gave valuable garments. To Buddhimanta Khan, the Lord gave an embrace. The bliss Buddhimanta felt was beyond description. The Vedas declare that the Lord's pastimes are not really divided into parts like the Lord's appearance in the world and the Lord's disappearance from the world. Who, speaking for 100 years, will describe even 1/2 hour of the Lord's pastimes? Placing Lord Ananda's order on my head, and by his mercy I have written a brief description, like sutras, of the Lord's pastimes. Anyone who reads or hears these pastimes of the Lord will certainly enjoy pastimes with Lord Chaitanya. The 2 moons, Sri Krishna Chaitanya and Sri Advaita, are my life and soul. I, Vrndavana Das, sing the glories of their feet.